Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned, we dive into the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, go. We don't get live in the shine, but then I'm not talking about it, that's so. People go put in your phone. No can to it, your life. Now Jewish alone, we thought it done. Yeah, we thought it died. I don't know any the boats. I pick down true crime. I'm done with dark realities every time. This is I pick down true crime. I'm done with dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Thanks for coming over and checking out LTL True Crime. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. It's been pretty crazy here over the last couple of days in the LTL camp. But here we are. We're back here on a Monday. This is February 5th, 2024. And I appreciate everybody coming in this evening. So tonight, we're going to talk about probably one of the most unspeakable things that I have heard that has happened on YouTube in a long time. This happened a few days ago, back on January 30th. And the person we're actually talking about, his name is Justin Mohn. Justin Mohn. And I'm not sure if anybody heard about this, but it's crazy. I mean, if you want full-fledged nuts, then you're going to get it here with what we're going to get into this evening. So let's pull this up here. I'm going to probably refrain from saying a few words this evening. I know that you can all read them on the screen. YouTube just hasn't been kind lately. They've been kind of busting my channel up with manual reviews and taking out the monetization on certain videos. So we're going to try to clean this up as best as I can until we can get a little later in the video and I'll be able to freely speak a little bit more. But Justin Mohn, let me get my camera position here. Justin Mohn, Levittown murder timeline, everything that led up to the gruesome, and you can read that word there. Let me just increase the screen here. So, Levittown, Pennsylvania, from Justin Mohn's disturbing 14-minute-long YouTube video to an arrest made 2 hours away from the crime scene, Fox 29 presents the details involving the gruesome murder in Buckstown County that left a 68-year-old man, and I will not say that word, but you all can read it there on the screen. Just give me 2 seconds here. I got a little housekeeping to take care of. Okay, so Tuesday, we'll get the timeline here. I'm going to do the timeline tonight. I have the criminal complaint, and then we'll go into the actual press conference. And then I have something from Law and Crime that kind of encapsulates the whole thing here and gives us a little bit more of, kind of what went down here. So Tuesday, January 30th, according to the arrest affidavit, the wife of the 68-year-old Michael Mohn, that is Justin's father, left their Middletown Township home at 2 p.m. Let's see, 3 hours later, Justin Mohn posted a horrific 14-minute long video showing that you can read that word, ahead of his father, and appeared to read a script calling for the murder of federal employees and the media. The video was viewed more than 5,000 times before taken down by YouTube at around 10:30 p.m. A YouTube spokesperson said it violated the graphic policy and that Mohn's channel was terminated. Gee, do you think that it was terminated for graphic policy, graphic content? Of course it was. They are closely tracking to remove any re-uploads of the video. At 6:59 p.m., 911 was called to Mohn's. Mohn's wife returns home to find her husband was found dead in a bathroom along with a machete and large kitchen knife. Mohn's severed limb was found in another room. As police immediately started their search for Justin Mohn, news of the D stunned the Levittown neighborhood. At 9 p.m., Mohn's cell phone was pinged and his car was found by a local police outside the gates at Fort Indianatown Gap National Guard base in Lebanon County. Just 25 minutes later, his phone was pinged again, and this time from inside the base. The police said he climbed a perimeter fence before he was located and arrested without incident. Justin Mohn had no prior history with the National Guard. He complied with officers' verbal requests and was taken into custody. He was armed and he had a firearm on him, said Angela Watson, PA, Department of Military and Veteran Affairs. On Wednesday, January 31st, at around 4 a.m., Mohn was brought back to Bucks County to face first-degree murder charges of his dad. His preliminary hearing is scheduled for February 8th. The 32-year-old graduate from Penn State in 2014 with a degree in agribusiness. He also represented himself by filing a lawsuit against the federal government over student loan debt. The case was dismissed multiple times. I really can't understand it, said Judy, I think it's Dreischbach, neighbor. I do get emotional. That's why I didn't want to watch the video. I don't need to. Yeah, I don't think I want to watch the video either there, Judy. I think I'm all set with that one. Fox 29, Jeff Cole spoke to neighbors who were shocked by the disturbing details, yet revealed the son was caught. So there's a little background there of what happened. Again, probably one of the most unspeakable things that I've ever heard on YouTube in my entire life. We'll take a look here at quickly take a look at the criminal complaint, and then I have the actual press conference, and then we'll wrap this up with something from Law and Crime Network. So here's the criminal complaint. I'm going to scroll down here to the deets because everybody wants to see the deets. Okay, affidavit of probable cause. Let's see. Let's go into, where am I? Oh, okay, here we go. On January 30, 2024, at approximately 18:59 hours, the Middletown Township Police Department responded to 145 Upper Oak Drive in Levittown, Middletown Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Jeez. Lots of counties, lots of this, lots of that, for a report of possible expiration. While patrol officers were responding to the scene, they received a further information that it was an elderly male and was located in the downstairs bathroom with a large amount of blood around him, and he had been deed. A machete was observed in the bathtub, as well as a large kitchen knife. Sergeant Kay Gracie arrived at the scene and secured the home by conducting a protective sweep of the house. Gee, things that didn't happen in the Karen Reed case. Things that didn't happen in the Karen Reed case. It's amazing when you read things and there's proper police work going on in those specific cases. It's staggering the amount of things in the processes that are followed out, the procedures. And I'm actually going to be having a video live about that soon. I'll be doing some police procedures related to the Karen Reed case. So we'll keep going on here. Sergeant K. Gracie arrived at the scene, secured the home by conducting a protective sweep of the house. Officers located a deceased male in the first floor bathroom with a large amount of blood around him. The deceased male had his H removed from his body. Officers also located the deceased male's H inside a plastic bag, which was inside a cooking pot in the first floor bedroom next to the bathroom. And I remember seeing some blurred out stills. He actually held the H to the camera, and I believe it was in a plastic bag. So fun-loving son. Observed in the second floor bedroom were clear rubber gloves with what appeared to be blood on them and on the desk. In a small trash can next to the desk, more clear rubber gloves with suspect blood were observed. The decedent was identified as Michael F. Mohn, who resided in 145 Upper Orchard Drive in Middletown Township. The decedent's wife, Denise Mohn, located him initially. She reported to the police that she had last seen him home at approximately 1400 hours on 1/30/24, and her son, Justin Mohn, had the decedent were the only ones there. She also reported that a white 2009 Toyota Corolla registered to the decedent was in the driveway. Denise arrived at the home at 145 Upper Orchard Drive shortly before calling police. Denise reported that she arrived from the home and the front door was unlocked, and the 2009 Toyota Corolla and her son, Justin Mohn, were missing. Police received information about a video posted on YouTube. Your affiliates viewed this video after is posted to a page with the profile being Justin Mohn and the name of the list of listed as Justin Mohn. The account tag is at Mohn6542. There is only one video posted, which is titled Mohn's Militia. Call to arms for American patriots. The video is 14 minutes and 35 seconds in length, and Justin is pictured wearing the same style clear rubber gloves observed at the crime scene. Justin Mohn also picked up the D head of his father, Michael Mohn, identifying him by name as his father, stating he is now in hell for eternity. Geez, sounds like a great son. It appears that although he's reading from a pre-recorded script and based on his motion and sound of the keys, it appears to be a computer. In the video, Justin Mohn again picks up Michael Mohn's D head inside the cooking pot and displays it on the video. Let's see. Detective Planecki viewed the video and crime scene and confirmed that the gloves and the D head in the room are the same in the depicted video. The decedent's vehicle was found in Fort Indiana Town Gap, Pennsylvania. The decedent's vehicle was stopped at Fort Indiana Town's Gap Police Department. The defendant, Justin Mohn, was operating the vehicle. And that's it. That is the criminal complaint. So if anybody has any interest and they want to read through that, I'll drop the link here. Okay, we'll move on here. We'll go to the presser, the press conference after the arrest. The press conference. Here we go. Oops, what'd I do?
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Shorn, District Attorney of Bucks County. I want to announce the individual standing behind me. To my left is Chief Deputy District Attorney Matthew Linetti. To my right is Deputy District Attorney Ashley Toohey. And to her right is Assistant District Attorney Christine Sassani. They're the prosecution team assigned to this case. Behind me is Lieutenant Bob Gorman and Detective Tim Furman from the Bucks County District Attorney's Office, the county detectives assigned to investigate this case. Directly behind me is Chief Martin McDonough, our Chief of County Detectives, and to his right is Detective Kevin Pletnicki, and to his right, Detective Jake Gallagher with the Middletown Township Police Department, and to his right, Lieutenant Steve Foreman from the Middletown Township Police Department, Chief Joseph Bartarillo from January 30th of 2024 at 6:59 p.m. The Middletown Township Police Department was dispatched to a death investigation at 145 Upper Orchard Drive in Levittown, Middletown Township. While en route, they received updated information that an elderly male had been found in the bathroom with a large amount of blood and that his head had been decapitated. The head of this deceased individual was located in an adjacent room, wrapped in saran wrap and in a cooking pot. Denise Mohn had arrived home and found her decapitated husband and ran to a neighbor's house where she asked that they call the police. Middletown Township Police arrived at 7:06 p.m. The victim has been identified as Michael Francis Mohn, who was 68 years of age. He resided at that residence with his wife and his adult son. He was a federal employee with the Army Corps of Engineers. The victim's white Toyota Corolla and his adult son, Justin Daniel Mohn, were missing from the residence. Justin Daniel is 32 years of age. Police started a homicide investigation and the vehicle was entered into NCIC. Police were advised of a YouTube video depicting Justin Mohn holding the severed head of his father, Michael Mohn. Multiple calls were received by 911. Details of the video are as follows. The video is a 14-minute and 34-second video of Justin Mohn, where it is titled Mohn's Militia. It's a call to arms for American patriots. The video appears to be taken in the same bedroom of the home where bloody gloves were found. In the video, Justin Mohn is holding a human head detached from the body that was wrapped in plastic. Justin Mohn advised that the head is Mike Mohn's head. During the video, Justin Mohn advised that Mike Mohn is in hell for being a traitor to his country. During the video, Justin Mohn provides his identity and advises that he is the commander of America's National Network of Militia, also known as Mohn's Militia. During the video, Justin Mohn advises that he is giving the following order for all militia and patriots across the USA to kill federal employees. He also ordered that individuals from the FBI, IRS, and other federal law enforcement officers, and for those that work at the courthouse to be arrested, that all federal agents, U.S. Marshals, federal judges, and Border Patrol be captured and tortured for information, and then publicly executed. Justin divulges the home address of a federal judge and puts a bounty on his head and heads of high-ranking federal officials. He demands violence against all federal employees,
Pennsylvania,
but exempts state government, state governors, and state employees. The suspect's phone was pinged, and it was, again, an outstanding effort by law enforcement to work in such a expeditious fashion, pinging the defendant's phone and identifying his location. It was determined that the location was showing at Fort Indian Town Gap, a National Guard training center in Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. The suspect drove his vehicle to this location. He climbed a barbed wire fence. After he drove his vehicle past the barricades first, exited his vehicle, climbed a barbed wire fence, and entered the secured military installation. Fort Indian Town Gap Police Department were notified of the ping in their jurisdiction. Shortly thereafter, Fort Indian Town Gap Police Department and the Pennsylvania State Police.
You know, it's crazy. I've seen one of those types of videos in my life, and I don't need to see another one. And I've seen like just other ones from like ISIS. You know, I've seen those. The one that I've seen, that'll never leave my head. That was pretty bad. I saw it was like Mexican cartel, and I don't need to see that ever again. That'll never leave my brain. never leave my brain. Once you see something like that, it never leaves your brain. I remember like the incident was like a couple of years ago. There was a guy, he was a FedEx worker or UPS worker, and he went crazy and he went to not YouTube, he went to Facebook Live and had a pistol and actually drove through the streets. And I think this was Pennsylvania as well, too. Drove through the streets of Pennsylvania and started literally like executing people. And I remember there was like a homeless guy I went up to, and the guy had been pretty well known in the surrounding neighborhood that this guy was in. And he's like walked up to him. He's like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "How old are you?" or whatever. And then he just like popped the guy in the head. It's crazy. And I remember seeing that. And that live played on Facebook for like 2 hours before it was taken down, and I don't want to sound like a boomer or anything, but it's like you start thinking about all this stuff, like what goes through our feeds, what goes into our heads, and I always say this too. I mean, this is one of the most beautiful, dangerous inventions that have ever been put in our hand because it's just a constant news cycle. But try to think of the last time you saw something that was like positive that came through here. I mean, what do you basically do on here? You complain all day long, right? Let's be truthful about it. Let's be true. Let's be honest with each other. Okay. Yes, we use these for communication. Yes, we use them to talk to our friends. We talk to our family members. But what are you mostly doing on this thing? 90% of the time, probably complaining about something, right? How is that positive? And I don't want to go into like, oh, we need to block this and regulate this and that, but it is crazy. You see a lot of mental health issues have escalated in the last 10 or 15 years since one of these have been put in our hand. It's a constant news cycle. I mean, I find myself doing it. I had shit going on today and someone's like, "Hey, you all right?" And I'm like, I have so much shit going on right now. I can't put that all on you. It's not fair to you. And this person was very nice. They're like, "Oh no, just let me know. Like, let's talk about it." And I'm like, I can't put that on you, you know? So it's crazy. It's crazy. It's it gets a little tiresome sometimes, but I mean, you look at it too, it's like um we spend all this money on wars, foreign wars that have nothing to do with what's going on. Like all that money that's been literally just filtered to Ukraine, just given to them. And we don't even know where that money's going. But why not turn that money around and start some programs here for mental health? Why not turn that money around and do something good with it? Let's try to get fentanyl off our streets and get people off fentanyl and get them into some type of rehabilitation. you know let's help at the southern border crisis, with that money. Let's get veterans off the streets, instead of taking this money and literally you're burning money. That's all it is. I mean, literally, we send it over to a foreign country, you're literally just lighting a match to it, and that's all money that could be helping us here solve a lot of problems, get a lot of programs going, get a lot of resources going, get a lot of rehab going, treating these mental health issues. You got to look at a lot of the major population of the homeless that are on the streets. Probably 90% of them have mental health issues. We could get those people help, get them off drugs. I just want to recognize this. My plant, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. I appreciate the support. But we don't spend money in the right places. We defer it. We send it over to foreign countries to literally just, like I said, light a match to it. You don't know where that money's going. You think that money's going to actually fight the war in Ukraine? Yeah, right. That money is just going out, it's being filtered and coming right back through all those officials' pockets, and they're just lining their pockets. Believe me, some of that money's going into their own bank accounts. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Located Justin Mohn trespassing on governmental property. Justin Mohn was taken into custody without incident. The defendant had a loaded Sig Sauer 9mm handgun on him, and it was loaded, as mentioned, missing one round. Justin Mohn was taken into custody. The defendant stated he went to Fort Indiantown Gap in an effort to mobilize the PA National Guard to raise arms against the federal government. He also indicated that He wanted to speak to Governor Shapiro to join forces.
That's not good.
The autopsy of Michael Mohn was conducted on Thursday, February 2nd, by Dr. Ian Hood, forensic pathologist. It was determined that Michael Mohn suffered a gunshot wound to his head
Jeez.
and then was subsequently dismembered, and that the mechanism was the use of a knife to sever limbs and tendons, and then ultimately a machete to sever a spinal column.
Jesus, man.
This investigation, again, I can't speak more highly of the work that was done by my colleagues and fellow members of law enforcement.
You don't think that every single person there that's standing there right now didn't have to watch that video? Hell yeah, they probably had to. That sucks.
They identified the fact that the defendant purchased a firearm the day before.
Welcome in, everybody.
Murdering his father.
Good to see everybody. Thank you. Thank you for
He
supporting
purchased
me.
that firearm at Johnson's in Croydon, Bristol
Smasheth that liketh button. Let's get this up to 100 likes. We're at about 72 right now. 100 would be great.
Township, Bucks County, on January 29th.
Yeah,
The
Dorothy.
defendant is a graduate from Neshaminy
Hello,
High
Drew.
School and Penn State
Welcome in.
main campus. He previously worked and lived in Colorado, working for a contractor for Microsoft Corp. He's currently unemployed. He has no history of diagnosed mental health issues.
Oh,
There are
she's
presently
to her
no
stomach.
302s or 201s in his history. I am going to turn it over to Chief Joseph Bartarillo, and then we'll be available to answer any questions you may have.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chief Joe Bartarella from the Middletown Township Police Department. So I want to start off just by saying that me and my entire police department, our hearts ache for the Mohn family.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that,
You
Missy.
know, we had a meeting with them last night at our police headquarters with Victims Advocacy. And I just want to let everyone know that we will be with them every step of the way through this incredible ordeal that they're going through. And also our Upper Orchard community, which is one of our small communities within our Levittown section of our township, you know, as the whole community mourns and aches over this, that our
Hello.
police department
Welcome
will be
in.
right there with them as they recover, you know, on the road to recovery from what they've had to experience. You know, the family was very well known, had a lot of neighbors and close friends that really cared about them. So I just want to put that out there first and foremost. Next, the one thing I want to do is recognize all of the law enforcement agencies that played, you know, such a huge role in making such a fast apprehension and bringing closure to this in getting the apprehension within hours of the crime occurring. We were discussing that if Justin hadn't been apprehended, can you imagine the manhunt that would have been underway, you know, shortly thereafter, and how everything would have been focused on finding him and how the entire community would have been in a state of panic. So one of the things I want to do right now is just praise our law enforcement. From my police department, our detective sergeant, Zach Brocious, he's the one that actually did, you know, what they call it the ping. I say tracking Justin's cell phone and pinpointing where he was. Two of our detectives are here.
Now, again, very, very important stuff here. And I'm going to go back because I probably have a lot of people here, you know, a lot of the subscribers here that watch my Karen Reed content. But this is, you know, this is interesting because it goes back to, you know, the original draft of the Commonwealth. What they say, they leave out all of those Google searches. And I'm working on a big presentation here that I'm going to be doing on Karen's case and talking more in depth about, you know, the Google searches, Jen McCabe's Google searches. But, you know, I find it interesting that, you know, in this particular case, they were pinging phones right away. They were looking at phone data. But you go into the Karen Reed case, you look at the Commonwealth. Commonwealth only mentions it once. And that was supposedly that in all of a frantic, that everything that was going on, when Karen is trying to save John's life, that she looks at Jen McCabe and supposedly says, oh, can you Google how long it takes to die from hypothermia? But it took Karen's attorney, Alan Jackson, to go through and sort through all of that information and figure out everything that we know about Jen McCabe's phone. So, you know, I'm going to be talking a lot more about that. I have a presentation coming up about proper police procedure I'm gathering some more information, and I may have a special guest for that one. May have a special guest, and I'm lining up for that. So stay tuned. But we're gonna play through this here, and again, I appreciate everybody coming over and supporting these off streams. Again, I can't always do Karen Reed content here. There will be other cases and other instances and things that I do here on this channel. So we'll keep playing through here. Thanks for being here tonight. Let's check it out.
Detectives on the case, Jake Gallagher and Kevin Platnacki, but all of our detectives were at the scene that night. And that was our first priority, you know, getting to the scene, preserving the scene, but then locating Justin, who went quickly from a person of interest, obviously, to the suspect. And with that, police department that I'm learning more about every day, the Fort Indian Town Gap PD, who did an incredible job of rapidly responding when we called them and told them that we had a general idea of Justin's location based on cell phone tracking. They located, Fort Indian Town Gap Police Department located his car first, and then later on, based on continuous cell phone tracking, were able to locate and detain him without incident. I don't know the full circumstances as to where he was detained. I think he did climb over a fence and get into the fort. He might have been armed, but you have to ask their police department about it. I'm very grateful to the Fort Indian Town Gap PD for the outstanding work they did in getting that apprehension as quickly as they did. So given that, I do want to thank them, and also Pennsylvania State Police. And in addition to our police department, we're very blessed to work in a county where we have an outstanding relationship, and we do a lot of mutual aid and we assist each other. We're 39 small police departments, 43 law enforcement agencies, supported by what I think is the best district attorney's office in the state. So I want to thank District Attorney Shorn, Chief of County Detectives Martin McDonough, and his entire staff, and also our coroner's office as well, for their incredible support in helping us process the crime scene and being there to provide the additional resources that we needed.
Ron, thanks for the 5 on
to
Cash App. I
handle,
appreciate that.
what-
Thank
what
you.
has
Thank you for
become,
that kind
a
message.
very,
Thank you. Appreciate
significant
that.
event and case that's gaining, national, if not worldwide attention. So I just wanted to make sure that I thanked, everyone who supported us through this. So our detectives were on it from the start. And
I get it. Everybody's kind of gripping to, the new information. If there's going to be new information that drops, and in Karen's case, I understand it. I respect it. We're all waiting. There just really isn't anything right now. All my sources are really quiet. From behind the scenes, it's really quiet. But I got to continue to do shows too. And Karen's case is not the only case I cover. There's things that will pop up, and I'll jump on them and do that. And hopefully, once that we get some type of resolution, hopefully the resolution that we want, you all stick around and come out and check out, more of the cases that I cover here. And I definitely will be getting more into Brian Walsh's case and running some parallels between that and Karen's case as well. Brian Walsh will have some updates coming up in March. He's got a court date. I'm planning on being out there when he shows up for court again. If it's going to be an in-court session, I will be there to possibly get him coming and going from court. So, lots of things that we cover here. Lots of things that we'll continue to cover. Okay, let's keep playing through the presser, and then we're going to go to Law and Crime Network with about a 15-minute video there, kind of explaining how this all happened. And again, it's kind of I don't want to say like a flash in the pan type of case. We'll obviously follow this up, but to me, it's just kind of like a done deal. This guy's when he goes to trial, if he decides to go to trial, I think this is going to be it's going to be the type of thing where it's just going to be very quick. The jury will come very quick. Let's see. Whoa, big $50 super chat from AZ. Good to see you back, man. Thank you so much. That was very generous. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Okay, we'll keep moving on here. Here we go.
Still working. We've been very busy, and we're going to continue to be busy, as we continue to work through investigating this case. It's not over just because an arrest was made. There's still a lot of information that has to be done to ensure, that we move through with a successful prosecution. So With that,
Good to
I
see
really
you,
don't have
man.
anything else to add. Hang on one second.
Hope
I don't have
everything is
anything else
well.
to add. So I want
Been
to
a
just
while.
defer to District Attorney Shorn first, if she wants to take questions before I do.
Yeah, I don't know where Brian Walsh's kids are. I unfortunately, I think they went into state custody. I'm not too sure. But let's see. Lauren says, Kat, I believe Aunt Anna's friends kept the kids here and together. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. Okay, we'll keep playing through.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief Barbarella. I appreciate
She
it.
indicate to you what sets him off to kill his father Tuesday night?
So I've shared the information that I'm able to share at this juncture. As you know, this is an ongoing investigation with the most talented members investigating this case. I can't speak to anything further beyond what I conveyed thus far about statements made.
Jen, is there any evidence he was a member of a militia?
Obviously,
Or had militia ties?
obviously, I think his online manifesto
We knew they were going to go
speaks
there with
for
that.
itself at this juncture. Again, this is going to be an ongoing investigation for months, and we'll continue to investigate this through the successful prosecution with this team present.
Jen, how concerning is this to you and everyone up there that this was up online as long as with the calls for violence that were out there, that it was up as long as it was?
That was incredibly concerning. I mean, obviously, from an evidentiary value, that video is very important, and we need to have possession of that. But it's quite horrifying how many views we understand it had before it was taken down. Obviously, we were able to capture and secure.
No, I didn't see the video. I don't need to see the video. I'm all set with seeing the videos. I've seen one of those, like I was explaining earlier in the stream. I've seen one once, don't need to see it again. That one video that I saw will never leave my brain. So
video because it's pretty self-explanatory as to who's responsible, although these are allegations at this point. So that's very concerning. And I got to tell you, Jim, when to Chief Barbarella's point, the fear of what this could have been, I know that Chief McDonough and I were expressing that night. I know Chief Barbarella was living it that night, and it was thanks to this outstanding collaboration of the men and women in law enforcement. And also, I should mention
look at the
US
title of the video.
Marshals
Look at the
assisted in
title of
making
my
sure
video.
that individuals named were safe. But that was the reassurance that we all needed to know that we're safe and that this case will be prosecuted.
Was he a legal buyer of that gun that he buys the
He was.
day before killing?
He was. There was nothing legally precluding him from purchasing that gun. In fact, our investigation has revealed that he surrendered his medical marijuana card so as to be eligible to legally possess a gun. That also shows you the clear state of mind that he was in, having planned what he ultimately carried out.
Has he had a mental health evaluation yet?
I'm sorry, I can't speak to that.
Did anyone have any interaction with YouTube? And what was that like?
Welcome in, everybody.
Protocol to get that video down?
Are you referring to anyone present team here? 1 second, please. We believe the federal authorities conveyed that, but also ultimately after the number of views, the content obviously became, that's a flag, that's a shot over the bow that something's unusual in that short period of time. So it came down pretty quick once we knew about it, but it was, excuse me. We did take steps obviously to preserve it, and we have that video.
So do we know how many views it got and how long it was up for?
I'm sorry.
Do we know how many views it got and how long it was up for?
I know at some point when I was aware of it, there was over 5,000 views.
Phew.
You mentioned he had no 302s, but some neighbors said that they had reported him to police. Had he come to police attention before this incident?
I'm going to turn that over to Chief Barbarella as it relates to that. I know
Pennsylvania,
you've been
Scott.
patiently waiting.
Pennsylvania.
Is it a separate, same question? Then I'll step
Pennsylvania.
aside.
So I have been emailed by several reporters regarding our police department's
evening.
past contact with Justin.
Oh, you're
Mohn.
welcome,
So
buddy.
we went through our records management system, and our police department has had 3 prior contacts, 2 direct, 1 indirect. One was in 2011 when Justin was 19. He had an argument in his home driveway with someone. There was nothing criminal there, and that was resolved. One was in 2019. Justin reported that he received a threat from someone at Progressive Insurance in Ohio because he was suing them and just wanted a record of it. And then last year, we did not have contact with Justin, but his employer from Philadelphia called one of our officers and just expressed concern about, Justin's behavior at work and wanted legal advice on how to go about terminating his employment, which we don't do. Where police department doesn't offer that. That's for his, individual employer. So we did refer the employer, to seek out, legal resources for that. And also because it was in Philadelphia to, refer any.
Oh yeah, that's like Coburger County, isn't it?
To the Philadelphia
Jesus, all the wackaloons are out there.
That's the only contact. I know we keep hearing that police
That's
were
Coburger
outside of
County.
his home at various times outside of, what I just mentioned. I can only speak for the Middletown Township Police Department. We were not.
Did you have a history of threatening the judge that you mentioned in the YouTube video?
Not that we're aware of. It was never reported to us.
Chief, when the employer calls and
Mhm.
says, I need legal advice how to fire this cat, does that prompt you to go to him? Do you have any contact with him after the employer
We didn't
calls?
go to him after
I was in the
that
Poconos.
because the officer asked if, was there any criminal action on his part or any threats made or anything like that. I think there was concern over, I guess, what Justin was writing, some novels that he was writing, but we did not have contact with him after that. No, direct contact. Based on what the information that the officer gathered, and what the decision the officer made, no, I don't think we needed to have contact with him
I
after that.
believe DA Shorn touched on his intentions out in Fort Indian Town Gap. I don't know if any colleagues of Gap Police were in contact with you. I just wanted to ask again if there's any way to know what he might have been up to, what the next few hours, had he not been caught, might have helped.
So you're asking
I'm
if,
asking what his intentions
right, so
were.
if we tracked him up there and he hadn't been apprehended, what he would have
I know
done?
it's a hypothetical. I'm just asking,
Right.
in talking with him since arrest,
Yes.
what you believe his intentions
So
were.
I have no idea what he said since arrest, and I wouldn't be able to share that anyway, and I don't know what his intentions were, except that he was armed inside a National Guard base, so
Do you know if he's facing federal charges? If the feds are involved.
I'm not sure.
Or chief, sometimes with these online internet calls, there's some sort of dark web incel culture. Do we have any indication that anyone took his call seriously? Did he have any sort of online support in what he was calling for?
What's it?
I think that he was posting some things on Discord.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah,
speak to that?
I'll
Right.
speak to that. Obviously, as mentioned, this is still very much an ongoing investigation, and this investigation will take months, not days. But we do know that there was some communication on Discord as far as that is what we've learned, and we're still investigating that. So as it relates to some of the things he conveyed in this video and his beliefs and position, the one thing I want to state again is it was evident to us that he was of clear mind in his purpose and what he was doing. Aside from what his beliefs are, he was of clear mind doing this, and that's an important fact to us in this prosecution.
DA, do you expect you'll have a defense attorney claiming that he was insane, that he's a mental? So your argument is being made right here.
Well-
You clear mind, got rid of his marijuana license, got a gun, he knew what he was up to.
Anytime we have a murder case, we anticipate what issues we may face in the subsequent prosecution. One of the things we always look at is there going to be a later claim of McNaughton insanity? That is a very specific definition where somebody is unaware of the nature and consequences of their actions. Not that they're perhaps what the common term crazy is, but it is a very specific terminology. And I can state with the evidence we have gathered thus far, this individual was acting with clear mind, aware of his actions, and proud of his consequences.
Shouldn't you cut your father's head off? I mean, isn't that an insane act?
There is a complete and utter difference between what we would term that person's crazy to what is legal insanity. And that will be evident later when we prosecute this matter.
Yeah, sure. Hold on, forget the question, but if I'm not mistaken, you said that Mr. Mohn, the father, also had limbs?
No, his head was dismembered.
Just
Yes,
dis-
decapitated, dismembered, post-mortem.
Okay.
Do you know how long he had been planning this, but you got the gun the day before? Do we know how far back beyond that?
We don't at this juncture. It's still pending. Obviously, we're going to gather as much information as relates to that.
How long was he in the base before he was arrested?
We don't believe it was that long. I'm sorry. We're still gathering that information. We obviously have a pretty good sense of his movements based on the investigative work that was done. And we believe shortly after the post that his path of travel was directly to Fort Indiantown Gap, and that is consistent with the timeline that we know.
Yeah, sure. He lived with his parents. It's not like he was some estranged son who came out of nowhere for some sort of vengeance against his father. Is there any indication from mom or any other relative that there was anything?
Yeah, I saw that.
I can't speak to that at this juncture, but I
He
can
filed many cases and they were dismissed like all the time.
echo what I could not have said better than Chief Bartarillo, in that our thoughts are with this family. This is the unimaginable. So, that's going to take time. We're going to provide the resources for this family, but this is truly just unimaginable for them. So, again, we'll continue to investigate.
Yeah, are there any new charges? He took his father's car, for example. Would that be additional charging on that front?
It is not uncommon for us at some point later to add charges. We'll evaluate that. This team of attorneys will evaluate what charges additionally are appropriate. But we wanted to make sure that we were charging immediately that night to take him into custody, and he is in custody without bail at the correctional facility in Bucks County.
Do we know when he gave up his medical marijuana card?
Days before.
Okay.
In his video, he had alluded that he had a previous contact with the FBI. Are you or Middletown Police aware of any previous contacts with the FBI, Federal Protective Service, Secret Service, any of those federal agencies?
All questions as it relates to any federal probe or, federal contacts that existed prior to this homicide investigation, I'm going to refer to the FBI or Department of Justice to field those questions.
Is he talking to you?
I can't speak to that.
Is he answering your question?
I can't speak to that. We're not able to speak to that.
Is he proud of what he did, do you think? I mean, look at the picture there. He seems pretty calm and somewhat proud of himself.
I think you can draw conclusions, your own conclusions, and I'm not saying that in a facetious manner, from the video and how for those of you that viewed it, how he presented on that video. So, but I can't speak to that.
Out of his 131 subscribers, are you investigating any of those for answering this call to arms that he put out?
We'll obviously investigate anyone and everyone who is associated with this homicide, with the subsequent dismemberment.
Hilsey, I got some answers for that in a second.
We will consider anyone who may be an accomplice.
Was anyone else in the house when this happened, or was it just the victim's wife when she came home?
The victim's wife who discovered it she was home alone. So if
No,
not any
video's
other
down,
questions,
taken down and terminated.
go ahead.
You said he'd never been diagnosed officially with.
Account terminated.
Do we know how
I didn't say that. I I can't speak to that.
Oh,
I can't speak to that.
do we know how he got his marijuana card?
I don't know that. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
All right, I got some answers for you. Check this out. I just found this article. So Pennsylvania B, ex-roommate says Justin Mohn showed signs of paranoia years ago. Justin Mohn had shown signs of paranoia and believed the government had been out to get him, his former roommate said. Let's read this. This is from February 2nd, so a couple days ago. Middletown Township, Pennsylvania, a man accused of Ding his father, Ding his father, and showed the federal workers severed H during a politically charged tirade online, is charged with a murder after he was arrested with a gun in at the Pennsylvania National Guard base, according to officials in court documents. The gruesome video circulated for hours on YouTube, garnering more than 5,000 views before it was taken down. Justin Mohn, 32, now is being held without bond and is charged with abuse of a corpse and other crimes. Pennsylvania court documents show. Action News had learned that the U.S. Marshal Service investigated Mohn in August of 2023 after he allegedly made a threat against the U.S. District Court judge. The case was closed that same month. During the online diatribe, Mohn railed against the Biden administration and the border crisis while declaring himself the new acting U.S. president and under martial law, in decrying his father as a traitor. The victim, Michael Mohn, worked for the Army U.S. Corps of Engineers, Philadelphia District. It says the video was removed over its graphic violence, YouTuber said, but here's the video that he went on the tirade, or still of it at least. According to the information provided by law enforcement, Mohn held conspiratorial and anti-government views for the last 7 years and attempted to recruit people to join his Mohn militia, a Reddit and Discord, though he did not attract any takers. The Discord server threw him out because of his recruitment attempts, according to ABC News. Mohn also sued the Department of Education 3 times, most recently in 2022, saying the department and education secretary failed to inform him of risk of the student loans he had to pay for college. He also sued his former employer, Progressive Insurance in Colorado, claiming discrimination, and the company perceived him as an overeducated male and deprived him of pay and benefits. In that case, the court ruled in favor of Progressive. How the Grizzly discovered unfolded, we know that already. I want to see what this friend had to say. He says, in it, the man identifies himself, this is the video, as Mohn, apparently reads from a written statement, and at one point holds up to appears to be a bloody H inside a clear plastic bag. He says his father, who is a federal employee of 20 years, was a traitor to his country. Quote, America is rotting from inside out as far left woke mobs rampage over once prosperous cities, he said in the video. Jeez. Investigators also found clear rubber gloves. I want to see what this friend had to say. YouTube statement Wednesday said they policies prohibiting graphic violence. Oh, let's see. Victim employers deeply saddened. Ex-roommate, here we go. Mohn thought the government was after him for years. As far back as 2016, Justin Mohn had showed signs of paranoia and believed the government and had been out to get him. His former roommate, Davis Rebhan, told CNN. I think that's right. Might be Rehan. Mohn and Rehan met in 2016 when they were assigned to roommates as in the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs. Can you imagine rooming with this fucking guy? Even back then, he had very clear issues. He would always talk about how the government was out to get him, and then it was always like these vague stories about it. He would never give specific examples. He would tell me these stories and always seem exaggerated, so it was so hard to take anything serious. So, it was like saying the truth. I'm surprised I didn't drop Trump's name in there and try to blame this all on fucking Trump. That's Trump did it. I thought there was just a weird kid who had some issues, but obviously wasn't, thinking that he would do this or was dangerous. He said they first lived in a student housing a few months before moving into an apartment. At one point, he had a hysterical fit and smashed the apartment. I wasn't home when he did it, so I didn't know what triggered it. But we had all long conversation. He told me he had undiagnosed PTSD. He said he reported the incident to property management and moved out in November 2016. Thank God he got out of there. Let's see if they drop any Trump names in here. Deeply politicized, extreme rhetoric. Let's see. Authorities will work to understand the motive behind the alleged crimes. You can make some assumptions based on his claims in his video that he's been motivated by politics. The bigger picture here is that there's an example of the fact that kind of overheated, deeply politicized, extreme rhetoric you hear from sometimes in this country from political elected officials and leaders, actually that has impact on these marginalized people and extremist views who might be driven to embark in acts of violence. Some of the things he said in the video allegedly referred to woke mobs and things like that, that not dissimilar from rhetoric that you hear from some politicians that we've heard recently in the primary season. I'm telling you, they wanted to fucking put Trump's name in there, but because the guy didn't say Trump, they didn't want to fucking say it. They couldn't say it, and they were pissed because that these motherfuckers were hanging on every single word. They were probably like, please say Trump, please say Trump, please say Trump, please say Trump, because they wanted to get this into the article. It's funny because they didn't say Trump, so they just say, oh, the rhetoric that some of these politicians say. So this language is an effect on most vulnerable and dangerous part of the population. I think it's something that security officials are really concerned about. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. Says now they're talking about the neighbors, said that he's exhibiting odd behavior in the neighborhood. Neighbors say that he noticed changes in Mohn's behavior several months ago. While they say it was nothing violent, it was just enough to make them uncomfortable. One of them ended up calling the police. He started acting funny over the summer. I made a couple of calls to the police department because it was sitting right there on a culvert thing, and staring at my house consistently. I thought it was kind of strange. But it was weird for somebody to stay seated right there, stare straight at my house. I wouldn't, I, and when I would come home, he would just pick up and move. Weird. Huh. Okay. Well, that's Mohn's activity. All right. Hey, I found this pretty interesting too. Look at this. This is kind of what happens when there's a crime scene that goes down. Detectives come out. They probably have someone at the door. Look at this. There's actually crime scene tape there. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. That's proper procedure at a crime scene. You block it off, put crime scene tape up. Probably have a few detectives. You have a uniform officer there protecting the door so no one goes in. None of those things that we know of right now that happened in Karen Reed's case. I mean, this could be 34 Fairview right here. I mean, this literally could be it. I mean, this is what it should have looked like that night. And people should have probably started knocking on the door. Hey, do you know about the guy upstairs that doesn't have a head? Or do you know about the guy in the front lawn that's no longer with us? That's proper procedure. You ask those questions in cases. But I have a live coming up about that pretty soon, and hopefully I'm going to be getting a special guest for that. We're going to talk a lot about police procedures that were missed the night of investigating John O'Keefe's murder. So let's go on here. I have a video here from Lauren Crime Network, and then we're going to wrap up this live. Appreciate everybody being here. Please make sure to smasheth the liketh button. I appreciate everybody being here. Let's play through this.
A Pennsylvania man is accused of beheading his own father and then holding up the severed head in a video that he posted online that got thousands of views before it was finally taken down. We're analyzing everything we know so far about this case with retired U.S. Marshal Art Roderick and former Judge Elizabeth Scherer. Welcome to Sidebar.
Oh, that's right,
by
Rogue.
Law and Crime.
Yeah, they were investigating, right? Yeah, they weren't trying to frame anybody.
I'm going to tell you right off the bat that not only is this an incredibly disturbing case, this is a tough one just to even talk about. Police in Middletown Township, Pennsylvania, that's in Bucks County, they responded to a horrifying 911 phone call on Tuesday night. A woman reported around 7 p.m. that she came home to find her 68-year-old husband, Michael Mohn, decapitated in the bathroom of their home. Yes, that is what we're talking about. Couple's adult son, 32-year-old Justin Mohn, was the prime suspect in the death of his father. He had apparently posted a video of himself on YouTube holding up his own father's head. That is what we're talking about right here. That 14-minute video went up on the site about an hour before the 911 phone call. It had close to 5,000 views before it was finally removed hours later. The video was posted to YouTube with the title, Mohn's Militia, Call to Arms for American Patriots. And in the video, Justin Mohn said that his father had been a federal employee for 20 years, which Mohn believes made him a traitor to the country. In the video, he states, quote, violence is the only solution to the federal government's treason. And this is the head of Mike Mohn, a federal employee of over 20 years.
Harry,
and
thanks
my
for the
father,
5. I appreciate
he
it.
is
Thank
now
you.
in hell for eternity as a traitor to his country.
Welcome in new members.
Reported that Michael Mohn worked as an engineer with the geoenvironmental section of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in Philadelphia District.
It's wild. I remember a case a couple of years ago that I was following. I think it was in Pennsylvania. Might have been in Pennsylvania. It could have been in the Midwest. I'm not too sure. I forget. But there was a guy that lived at home with his parents, about the same age, 32 years old, lived with his parents, and he had been weird, a lot of mental issues, and just kind of kept getting weirder and weirder. And on Thanksgiving, the family was over. They had guests at the house, and everybody went home, and the parents were still at the house with the guy. Well, in the middle of the night or a couple of days before that, he had actually started to plan to kill them. In the middle of the night, I think he got up, ended up murdering his father and mother, and then went to like Lowe's and bought like plastic barrels and tried to like melt them in muriatic acid, some kind of acid or something in the bathroom. It's crazy. But he basically did the same thing that's being talked about here to the mother. But the crazier thing about it was, and it's kind of strange because this guy did it too. It involved a cooking pot, but the cooking pot was on the stove. And the thing that's wild about it is they released the body cam footage. And I remember watching the body cam footage because the cops came over to do a welfare check and they gained access to the house to check on the parents. When they come into the house, into the kitchen, the stove burner is on and there's a big cooking pot. And they literally just walk by that. It's like boiling water. But we now know what was inside the pot. And that's crazy to even think that. Such a wild story. But that ultimately, that guy, I think that guy caused a lot of problems in the trial too. He's like really weird and outspoken. I can't remember the name of the trial. It was like a couple of years ago. But it's just odd to think that those police just walked by. They didn't even know what's in that pot. There's a pot boiling on the stove, and they walk by it. It's like his mom's. Oh man, people be crazy.
District. Law enforcement captured Mohn about 100 miles away from the crime scene at Fort Indiantown Gap Base, home of Pennsylvania National Guard headquarters. He had apparently broken into the base with a gun. He was still armed when law enforcement confronted him, but authorities say he surrendered peacefully. No one was harmed. He has been charged with murder in the first degree.
So that case is Joel Guy Jr., November 2016. 28-year-old Joel Guy Jr. murdered his parents, dismembered their bodies, and dissolved their remains in acid while boiling his mother's head on the stove. Like most Americans, late November, Joel Michael Guy and his wife Lisa, and it goes on here. Wild story. Completely wild story.
Abuse of a corpse.
And it's funny. I was just looking at a picture of Joel Guy, and the expression on his face is pretty much the same expression this guy had on his face too. It's crazy. That was I'll drop the link if you want to read about it. You can read about it after. That's the link there if you want to read it. Where did that happen? Knox County? I don't know where that is. Knox County. Sounds like Tennessee, maybe. Let's see. Yep, Knoxville, West Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah.
Of an instrument of crime with intent. According to court documents, Mohn was arraigned virtually very early Wednesday morning, and his bail has been denied. Let's break this down. I have two very special guests. I'm joined by retired U.S. Marshal Art Roderick and former Judge Elizabeth Scherer, who presided over the Parkland School shooting case. She is now in private practice with Conrad and Scherer. Great to have you both here. Again, I say this so many times, but I wish it was under better circumstances. What a case. Art, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about how he was captured. So we know that authorities in Middletown Township, they had pinged Mohn's phone, and they did this because they realized that his father's car wasn't there. He was missing. Right. They track him to Fort Indiantown Gap. They alerted the local police department. They find out that he jumped the fence to get into the base. They chase him. They arrest him. Thoughts on how they were able to capture him?
Yeah, bizarre case. I mean, this is standard cell phone tracking that is used by just about every single agency at this point in time. And when you look at this individual's background, obviously this is a narcissistic sociopath. To commit a crime like this, I mean, for law enforcement to respond to that scene and that poor mother coming home, that had to be one bloody mess. Even if you clean it up, still, it's difficult to decapitate someone with a machete and a large knife, which were found near the body. But tracking this individual, I mean, he left enough obvious clues, not only the video, but relatively easy to track him via his cell phone. So he wasn't very sophisticated and in his getaway plan, but obviously he wanted this to be known to the world.
By the way, one of my favorite things about being a host on Law and Crime is how passionate our audience is. You guys don't just sit back and watch. you engage, you leave comments, you give us feedback, you make your opinions known, which I can't tell you how much I appreciate. But one of the most popular opinions is how much you love our police body cam videos. And I'll tell you, I agree. I think they're fantastic. They're unpredictable. They let you see firsthand what's going on in any given situation instead of just hearing about it later in testimony or from police reports. Well, I am excited to tell you that we here at Law and Crime, we've heard you loud and clear, and we have launched a whole new YouTube channel dedicated only to police body
that's
cam
cool.
videos.
Oh, look
It
at
is
that.
aptly named Law and Crime Body Cam. It is your new destination.
Good stuff.
All of the most
Now check
shocking
that out.
police interactions on the internet. We're talking high-speed chases, dramatic DUIs, arrests that you just got to see to believe. So go check it out. Go subscribe. Let us know what you think. You might even hear a familiar voice on some of the videos. It's me. It's me. I'm not going to lie. I get to narrate some of them. Huge honor for me. Great opportunity. But just click the link in the description. Catch all the action on Law and Crime Body
That's
Cam.
pretty
I'm gonna
cool,
see you there.
man.
And Judge, I'm going to get your perspective on this because you've clearly presided over cases with disturbing details and disturbing defendants. I mean, as a former government employee yourself, let's talk about the alleged motivation here. I mean, I mentioned in the video, we have come to learn that this defendant is a self-published author. His book titles include The Revolution Leader's Survival Guide, How
God.
Schools, Workplaces, and Social Norms Kill the Genius Inside all of Us. The Second Messiah, King of Earth, which he says is fictional, but based loosely on his own life. The Punishing. And then a pamphlet called America's Coming Bloody Revolution.
Gee, nothing going on here, huh?
We just add this too. He's also a singer, posted songs on Spotify. Many of the songs, the writings, the YouTube videos, they're just rants against everything from the LGBTQ community to Black Lives Matter movement, President Joe Biden, to immigrants who are coming into the country illegally. I mean, what do you make of that?
My first thought is you usually don't just wake up one day. This guy's in his 30s. Is that right?
32.
Yeah,
32,
right.
yeah.
Right,
You don't wake
Lauren?
up one day in your 30s, you're low, 32, and just decide to do something so heinous and cruel, like
I want to
cut
hear
off your
I
dad's
want to hear the
head.
songs.
I wonder if there were other things that were leading up to this that's my first thought, or undetected crimes that he may have committed. Because, like I said, usually somebody doesn't just go off the wall. One day they wake up at 32 and completely lose it and start brutally killing family members. So my concern would be whether or not he's done this before. And
I got it. This might be it. Hang on. I think I got the music. Let's see. I'm probably gonna get nailed with a copyright. Let's see.
You shot me in the head. I know I shot you, son. You should have listened what I said. If you don't live the life I want, you're sure to end up dead. But I don't wanna live here. I wanna sing and dance. If I don't move out, I might miss my only chance. Just stay at home, pay off your debt. You'll never get famous. You've never even been to LA or Las Vegas. But I don't wanna live at
I don't know, man. This might beat a Turtle Boy. This might beat a Turtle Boy rap.
home forever. She's communist, the communist. She's here to prove the Tsar's done.
Fuck is this?
Dad, you missed a fascist, yeah, you almost killed your son. I know I almost killed you, cause you're not my son. You're number one, next time I'll use a real gun. If you're not my dad, then just let me live my life. I'll move across the country and find a space.
Yeah, no red flags, right?
You can't do that.
All right, I've had enough of that. Let's go back to Law and Crime and finish up this video.
to what extent?
Oh,
And just adding to that, Judge, my understanding is the Middletown Township Police Lieutenant Pete Feeney came
I'm
out and
probably gonna
said
get nailed with a
other
copyright.
charges may be filed. What are we looking at there, you think?
I got nailed with a copyright. Son of
It
a
could
bitch.
be that he escalated up to murder,
I
and
got
this is
nailed
the
with a
first time he's
copyright.
committed murder. But I would have a hard time believing that he's never committed a violent
Unreal.
type felony prior to
Oh,
this.
so, yeah, and YouTube limited my ads on the video that I did about the Kansas City Chief fans that died out in the snow. They nailed me there. They're gonna nail me on this. You know, I love YouTube. The platform's just it's so wonderful. Literally doing a news story And they nail us on
incident,
stuff like this.
because to take off
Stupid.
the head of your own family member, I mean, that's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, no, I can't think of anything much worse, and I cover a crime show every day. This is one of the ones that unfortunately stands out. You talked about the crime scene, Art. Let's focus on the crime scene. So the Bucks County detectives and the Middletown Township police officers, like I said, they found Michael Mohn's body in the bathroom, blood all over the place. You had mentioned the machete and the large knife found in a bathtub. There were bloody rubber gloves that were in the bedroom. And that is where, and I apologize again for saying this, but the father's head was inside of a plastic bag that was put in a cooking pot. Now, I tell you right now, that's not the first time I've heard that, unfortunately. Crime scenes like this, walk me through what you make of it and walk me through how difficult it is for law enforcement personnel to actually canvass that scene.
Yeah, that is the difficult part. I mean, unfortunately, law enforcement comes across obviously different violent scenes on every call that they get. This is very unique. In the fact that you've got an individual that decapitated his father. And I agree with the judge. I went to look at this
Yeah,
individual's
right.
background, try to do some, because it's very odd that this would be the first violent offense that this individual did. But I couldn't even find a parking ticket in his background. So when you look at all when you put all this
Yeah,
together,
I think that shirt's like a Versace shirt or something like that.
when you look at his writings and you look at his social media accounts, obviously this
The
individual
Movado.
had some major
The
issues.
Movado watch. I know because I used to sell those things all the time. I worked for that company for 16 years. I said
When it
Movado.
comes to the federal government, espousing this right wing stuff that he's put out there on the internet. And when you roll this back to the crime scene, this is what you've got. Something, and judge also brought it up, something that must have triggered this individual to commit this crime on this particular day at this particular time. So usually there's a triggering event that occurs here. But you know, my thoughts go out to the family. It has to put up with this. This is a horrible situation for anyone's family, and obviously law enforcement coming upon that type of scene and having to, go through the process that they do every time they come across a crime scene. That's a difficult process for law enforcement and for the CSI individuals.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
And talking about his past, Judge, we've learned he's been in and out of court, or at least tried to be in and out of court. He had several legal battles in civil court. Didn't get very far. He sued the federal government for, quote, negligently and fraudulently inducing him to borrow money for college, knowing that it would be hard for him to pay it back, as he claims, as a graduate of Penn State. He is an overeducated white man, can't pay back his loans. There was a recent filing in 2023. The judge threw it out, said there's no legal standing. I imagine if these cases were brought before you, you might have said the same thing. I mean, what do you make of those kind of cases?
He seems like wants to be the center of attention. He's a narcissist and wants to be, whether or not it's a legitimate cause of action or not. It seems like he wants to be in the middle of it. He wants people talking about him. In fact, this is probably part of his plan, I would think. Otherwise, why go on YouTube? Why go on YouTube and flaunt this type of heinous crime? My hope is that there were no warning signs that we missed, because that would be an all too familiar scenario, when people are basically telling you in no uncertain terms that they're going to do something bad. And commonly, myself included, you think, oh, person's just talking, it'll never happen. But my hope is that we don't find out that there were clear warning signs that should have been looked into on the part of law enforcement or others.
This Mohn case is awful. That's a given, but it's important. It's important to talk about. And the truth is, we're able to tell stories like these. We're able to bring you this information and analysis because of the support that we get from our partners. And that is why I want to call out one of our.
Yeah, you can call it out, but I'm not sponsored, so I'm going to speed this up.
Where he once worked, he said that he didn't progress in the company. He didn't get ahead because women were given the priority, which turned out not to be true because he really was fired for allegedly kicking open an office door, which is obviously a big no-no. But you mentioned these kind of warning signs. And my first thought was, as this
Let's pause this real quick. Tara says, need some prayers, LTL fam. My dad has heart failure and 2 different types of cancer. It's been a rough Monday for me. Ooh, Tara, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. We'll say some prayers for you tonight. Absolutely. I'm so sorry about that.
case progresses, if it's not ultimately he takes a plea deal, or excuse me, not even a deal, but pleads guilty, would a mental health defense potentially be something of interest for a defense counsel in this kind of case, you think? And I know we have limited information.
That's a defense that rarely works. There's very rare circumstances. Even if you're mentally ill, you have to be in a basically a psychotic episode of a certain period of time, and you have to. There's a whole lot of criteria that needs to be met. It seems to me that the planning that went into this, and the planning both before and after, would contradict a defense of insanity, which would be a mental health defense. It seems to me that the way that he carried out the murder, then took steps to put the head in the bag, and then leave it, and then do a video on it. Psychotic episode that I'm familiar with does not last that long. That's like a 2-hour ordeal, and I don't think that this is gonna meet that criteria, in my opinion.
And Art,
With what I know right now.
Yeah, and Art, I mean, I'll give you a chance to respond to that.
Yeah, Jesse, a lot of times too, with these types of individuals, in my experience, I'm kind of surprised he's not on somebody's radar. Generally, when you have an individual that files a lot of cases, there generally follows on to that a threat to a public official of some kind.
Absolutely.
So if I was with that PD, I'd be checking with the U.S. Marshals, with the county, to find out if he's threatened any judges or any other public officials, even check with Secret Service to see if he's possibly on their radar. But this type of individual usually will follow on with threats to public officials.
And let me just throw that back to you, Judge. I mean, in a position like you had, were you ever concerned about something like this? Have you ever seen anybody in your courtroom like
No
this
problem, Tara.
espousing kind of these beliefs and thoughts about government workers or the federal government or anything like that?
Most of the time, when they're doing this, they don't actually believe it. They're just saying these things to get attention.
Right.
That's what I found. People don't. They're just doing whatever they can to get somebody to pay attention. And even in court, I'll frequently have to tell people like this, sir.
See that? I got my monetization back. Sent it for manual review and I got it back. See, you did a good thing, YouTube. You did a good thing. You gave it back to me here. Jeez, the things we have to fight for here. Now, give me my Kansas City Chiefs one. I don't know what I said or did in that to get it demonetized. Unbelievable.
It's not your turn. It's somebody else's turn, and you need to wait your turn. And the continuous interrupting, and usually that is not a sign of mental illness, because even mentally ill people can control themselves and don't just shout out and start making allegations and threatening public officials. That's not clear indications of a mental illness. Usually it's just I hate to say this, but a sociopath or
Right.
narcissistic behavior, and it's all about them.
Art, let me finish this up by focusing on one concern that I have. Obviously, I have a lot of concerns about this case, but the YouTube video, right? So YouTube, in a statement, they said, quote, "The video was removed for violating our graphic violence policy, and Justin Mohn's channel was terminated in line with our violent extremism policies. Our teams are closely tracking now to remove any re-uploads of the video." That is my concern. So, kudos to YouTube for taking it off as soon as they found out what was going on. I am concerned about his, and for our listeners who knows it, our message, I'm using it in quotation marks here, that being spread. I mean, 5,000 views. It was up there for a while. What would your concern be as a
Someone
member of
downloaded it.
law enforcement, trying to make sure that doesn't get disseminated further?
As we all know, once stuff's posted on the internet, that's it.
Yep.
It's out there. Even though there's only 5,000 views, it can be reposted. But unfortunately, it's out there right now. And I'm sure there's been a lot more than 5,000 views of this.
Oh, it's terrible to think about.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't think anybody should ever watch what he posted. Judge Scherer, Art Roderick, thank you both so much for coming on, breaking down this case, giving us a way to understand what is a situation that's hard to understand, but really appreciate it. Thank you both.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, everybody, what a case. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us, as always. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.
Jesse Weber's awesome. I like his reporting. Okay. Well, again, I just wanted to bring this from one of the most unspeakable extreme cases I've ever heard on YouTube, and needed to be brought forward and talked about. So Justin Mohn in a lot of trouble, obviously, and it just remains to be seen what will happen here. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think it's going to take much if this goes to trial for a jury to figure this one out. But again, it's the weird and wacky world that we live in. All these things that happen now. You used to hear things of people, that would tell stories. There was no video. There was no, no actual evidence of these types of things. And then, it went from print to maybe some photographs, and then it maybe went to a camcorder. Now we have, or some device that could record it, an iPhone. Now we have the ability. These crazy people have the ability to post this stuff just immediately, or they could do a live and do something. So, the dark web kind of spills over into the natural web. And if you want to start calling that the dark web, then maybe it is. But, again, something I just wanted to talk about. One of the weirdest, unspeakable things I've ever heard and happen on YouTube. If anybody stumbles across the video, just urge you to not watch it. It will not leave your brain. It will stay there forever. I've come across one of these before, and to this day, it has not left my brain. And it's something that I wish that I never watched in my entire life. So I think that's going to wrap up tonight's show. I appreciate everybody being over here tonight. Send some prayers to Tara, please. Let's send some prayers to her on the way out. And I appreciate everybody watching. Real quick show tonight. I will be back in the next upcoming days. I'm planning some Karen Reed streams along with some other content that I'm working on. And I will be back soon. So everybody have an amazing night. I will talk to you all soon. Thank you so much for the support and showing up for these off Karen Reed streams. Like I said, I still have other cases that I do want to talk about and other situations that happen around the world that we need to know about. Okay, everybody, have a good night. I appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to play the outro here in a second, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks so much. Have a good night. Bye.
It's your true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden them up. Yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. It's your true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned. We dive into the crime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities of the crime. Unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned. We dive into the crime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities.